If you can think of, let's say, a football stadium. I'm a Cowboys fan, so you can take the Cowboys stadium. If you fill that stadium 3,000 times with animal manure, you'd get the amount that we're producing every single year just to be able to feed everyone in the United States of America.
Today I brought on Dr. Bianca Bailey, founder and CEO of a Techstars company called Agriwater Core. Agriwater turns manure into profit for farmers, enabling them to recover clean water and fertilizer, as well as unlocking carbon credits. Today, we discuss commercializing manure management technology through a process called electrocoagulation, as well as what the ROI and environmental compliance look like for farmers. This is Earth ABC, featuring Dr. Bianca Bailey. Bianca Bailey, or rather, Dr. Bianca Bailey, thank you for joining me today, representing Agriwater as the founder.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you for the invitation to speak with you today. I'm excited.
Me too. And as simply put, like you and your company, Agriwater, you turn manure into profit and clean water, or in other words, poop to profit. What are some things like we can expect to talk about today?
You can expect to hear, I say maybe number one, maybe a bit of humor. Number two, understanding the journey of a tech founder in the agricultural space, which is, a lot of lights not normally shed on Agtech founders. So I'm really excited today to talk to you guys about what we've been working on for such a long time.
For sure. I really look forward to kind of like the energy that you bring, Bianca. I really enjoyed our prior conversation. And I guess to get started, like what exactly is like the manure management problem that you guys are going after?
Right. So when we look at the United States of America, and we have thousands and thousands of farmers, especially in agriculture. And as we continue to produce food and meat products, dairy products in the United States, those animals produce manure. And in the United States, every single year, we are generating about 1.4 billion tons of manure every single year. Just to put that into perspective, if you can think of, let's say, a football stadium. I'm a Cowboys fan, so you can take the Cowboys stadium. If you fill that stadium 3,000 times with animal manure, you'd get the amount that we're producing every single year just to be able to feed everyone in the United States of America. That problem actually generates a deficit in the market of about at least $250 billion of money that could be used if we were able to sequester or harness the nutrients inside of manure. And all the wonderful things that are captured inside of manure are clean water, phosphorus, nitrogen, and fertilizer that can be monetized and reused for farmers or anyone in the agricultural sector. So that's kind of the problem that we're trying to address, and also helping farmers be more efficient when it comes to irrigating their crops, as well as spreading manure.
Gotcha. Well, first off, 3,000 times like filling up a Dallas Cowboys stadium, that's a crap ton of poop, pun intended.
Yeah.
I can't even fathom like that much poop. And that's per year, you said, right?
Yes, that's per year.
Wow. And so I guess it's like a two-part thing that you guys are doing. Like one is like cleaning up like manure or like turning that into like clean water. And then you're helping these farmers with like irrigation.
Yeah, so the technology helps farmers who irrigate raw manure. Some farmers, they just take just straight raw manure without processing it, the liquid part of it, and they irrigate it to their fields. And this has become a problem because the solids, the particles inside the manure actually clog the irrigation nozzles.
Mm.
So farmers have to, nozzle by nozzle, take it off, clean it. And so one of the issues that we've been able to hear from customer discovery is that they would love to be able to have those particles reduced. So what we can do with our water treatment technology is remove those solids from the water so that they can have a more efficient irrigation process during fertilization time.
Hmm. In terms of like the farmers, like when you're having these conversations with them to like implement like your technology, in speaking like a business language, like what is the return on investment when it comes to like, okay, I have these problems with like manure management. I see like my irrigation lines being clogged. But what does that translate into like day to day and yearly like investment dollars?
Right, exactly. So um, when it comes to return on investment for our customers, the customer either through direct sale or um, subscription or leasing the technology to the farmer, they purchase the system, and um, the system is compact, modular water treatment system will be delivered to the farm and then installed and begin making money. So number one, let's say a farmer has a water bill.
Mm.
Um, our base cost for our system can help the farmer save uh, at least $100,000, on their water bill, depending upon how much water they're using. When it comes to fertilizer, and fertilizer can actually vary depending upon if the farmer is using the fertilizer for the farm or they're actually packaging it to sell it on the market. So in total, we're looking at an ROI of about 2 to 3 years for the farmer to be able to recover from investing in the technology. But once the technology is installed, clean water is being formed. So the money is, you start making money once you press power, you press start.
Yeah. And with this like clean water being produced, I learned a really interesting term recently. It's called electrocoagulation. And so
Yes.
that's just like the process that uses like electrical currents and that's pretty much separates the clean water from like the manure. And I presume that's like the process that's related to the technology that you guys have with Agriwater, right?
Sean, a great definition. Thank you for explaining that
Uh-huh.
to us. Yes, electrocoagulation is the main technology, and it's a very old, I would say ancient technique, but um, you can modify it and manipulate it to be able to um, use electrical current and charge uh, in water to be able to remove certain nutrients. So one of the interesting things that we found with electrocoagulation is that we can remove phosphorus, which is very important in agriculture, from the manure, and we've seen a reduction in microorganisms. So biological activity that, let's say, E. coli,
Uh,
um,
that would,
which is
that
a
would be one,
bacteria.
yeah,
Yeah, we've seen some reduction in bacteria and microorganisms using electrical current. So it's very interesting to see that you can use electricity to treat water, and the fact that you don't have to add chemicals to water treatment in order for you to be able to have a product that you can reuse.
for sure. So in theory, would your company help reduce the instances of like product recalls from like, let's say, um, I guess, crops?
Can you explain that again?
Where it's like you're removing something like E. coli from like the water, just from like treating the water and stuff. For maybe farmers with like crops, would that potentially reduce like any instances of potential
Oh, okay,
recall?
yes. Uh, it could, it definitely could. If you have a cleaner water, irrigation water that you're applying to your crops, you can definitely get a better, healthier crop that may have less bacteria or viruses in it. Because yeah, when you do irrigate or when you do water plants that have kind of high microbes, the plant does uptake those things.
Right.
So yeah, I would say it could there could very much be a possibility.
Yeah. More reason for the everyday person to care about this type.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
And not to mention, like agriculture itself consumes about like 70% of the freshwater supply in the US.
Yes.
And so I want to talk a little bit more about like what the, I guess, concrete benefits at a high level of like your technology, like what it delivers. So I think from the get-go, people can know like water recovery is a big one. Fertilizer production is a big one. Like you mentioned, like you're able to get phosphorus out of the waste. But there's also an aspect of like carbon credits and then other maybe environmental like compliance. So what does that look like with your company, Agriwater?
This is a exciting topic for me. Um, or when we think about carbon credits in agriculture, sometimes it's a little bit of a taboo or gray area. But there are some states making great strides in the carbon credit area when it relates to agriculture. But our concept is, when we look at agriculture, and especially big agriculture where we're storing animal manure in open ponds. Or if you can conceptually think of an Olympic-sized swimming pool, and instead of chlorine water, it's filled with manure. That's basically, the problem we're addressing. And as these ponds are open to the atmosphere, they're continuously emitting greenhouse gases. So, with the implementation of a water treatment technology that can continuously pull off water or pull off manure every day, treat it, and turn it into clean water, that helps to reduce that amount of greenhouse gases being emitted instead of just sitting in one specific place on site emitting greenhouse gases.
For sure. And in terms of like what your technology looks like, are you installing like a factory on this, or kind of like a mobile water treatment system? Or is it more so like you have like components that can be installed into their existing stuff?
So if you think of the water treatment system will come as a fabricated device with, let's say, 4 different chambers, and each chamber will have a treatment step associated with it. For example, electrocoagulation will be in one chamber, and it will have our power system to be able to power the elements of the device. All that will be mounted, fabricated on a like a metal frame, and then um, installed into a small shipping container. And we can basically just bring that technology up to the part of the process on the farm where we can start pumping the manure from that sampling point into our system and start treating the manure. So basically, we kind of designed the system to be able to just be like plug and play into already existing agricultural systems that house water storage or manure storage facilities.
Gotcha. Let's say I'm a farmer. I like with you, eventually sign a contract. Like I want to work with Agriwater. Um, what would be the timeline for us to get started with work, get the Agriwater systems like installed, and then for me to see like the initial benefits of this electrocoagulation in action?
Right. So everything from, our initial meeting to installation on site, anywhere from 3 to 6 months. And, that just depends on the size of the system, because if we have to design a large system than what we're used to, it's going to take us more lead time for our manufacturer to be able to build that for our customer.
So
but
everything
yeah.
is customized for the particular farmer's needs and their system.
But yes, and it's customized, but with a modular approach. So
Right.
we build like our standard basic unit, and then if the customer needs more capacity, we can just add our unit on, an extra unit onto that pre-existing base system that we have.
And amongst the many farmers in the US, what would be like the ideal profile of the farmer that you want to be working with? Like who would see
Ideal
the most benefit? Yeah.
Oh, okay. So our target customer are dairy farmers, hog farmers, those with at least 50 animals. We really want to work with farms that have 100, 200 or more animals. So 100 animals. You must keep your manure in a storage pond or a storage tank or lagoon. And then it would be preferably they have irrigation on site to irrigate crops, because that will allow us to have the best impact for our system. So we're not talking about pasture raised animals. I know sometimes people think about farms and they see they're like, oh, look at the cows, they're just roaming around like chewing grass. Those are pasture raised animals. That's not really our target market. Ours is more confined animal feeding operations, where they contain the animals in one central location, so that they can basically monetize them.
Gotcha. And you mentioned before that they might be storing like the manures in like these lagoons, like these storage tanks. Without Agriwater, like what are they doing with all that manure? Because it's not gonna go away anytime soon, and it's constantly like gonna build up.
Yeah. So currently, the status quo for farmers is, once the manure builds up to a point where, there are regulations on the level of manure they can keep in those ponds, they have to pay a trucking service to come in and dredge out the solids that are in the bottom of that storage facility, and then they pump it out and then they drive it away. And so the farmer is charged thousands and hundreds of thousands, depending upon how big the farm is, to pump, and then they have to pay per mile. And
they do?
Yeah, they have to pay per mile and per weight of that mass to get it taken away. Sometimes some farms, they don't have the capacity to treat it, so they end up leaching the manure into rivers. And that's when we start to see environmental protection agency violations. And so, this technology can help on a environmental compliance side for farmers and ease that burden, but also on the side of, hey, I can have some reoccurring revenue, but I can also deal with my manure in a safer and a more way that I can monetize it.
Got you. So a big thing is like making sure they're compliant, but also not having to deal with like all of the little costs that add up with getting this trucking service to dredge up the manure.
Yes.
Got you. And so lay it down for me as if like I'm a fifth grader. How exactly are you making money?
Okay, great question. So number one, we just sell our system. Basically, we have a containerized electrocoagulation system that does about 4 tons a day, 1 gallon per minute. And that system, we charge you a cost for it. You pay us for that system, and it's installed on site. As that system is being installed, as it produces every gallon of clean water that it produces, we can attach a dollar amount to say, hey, this is how much money we're actually putting back into your pocket, because now you're able to reuse this water that we've recovered for you. Number two, fertilizer. We can attach the dollar amount to the fertilizer in pounds per dollar. And also, if you're selling that to someone, developing a way to be able to get the funds or the proceeds from that as well. And then lastly, the carbon credits, being able to assess how much methane did we remove on an annual basis from your farm to attach a dollar amount to the amount of carbon credits that you've saved during the year. So that's kind of how we see the commodities or byproducts from the installation of our system.
Gotcha. And when we look at like the industry, like vertical specifically, I'm curious to learn more about how like your technology is received amongst like the people within Agtech. I mean, you pitched at the Animal Agtech Innovation Summit about like 2 months ago. So how was that received amongst the people within your own industry?
Yeah, that was an amazing experience. And I think it was well received. I think a lot of people were intrigued and, had never really heard of someone trying to do what we're doing here at Agriwater. So that made me really excited. And it's very, very interesting about how I even got attached to the event. I looked in my email one day and I see an email from the event organizers asking me to pitch at their startup showcase. And they're actually from Europe, which is, I thought was crazy, because I'm like, how did you find Agriwater?
Yeah.
And you're designing an ag conference in the US, but you're not even from the States, but you found me. I was just completely like surprised about that. And so it was in Dallas, which I'm actually from Dallas. So it was like a 180 for me, the fact that I got to pitch my startup in Dallas, where I was born and raised. It was well received. We got a lot of contacts and partnerships following that conference. And then they just asked us if we wanted to go and present Agriwater in Amsterdam at their livestock conference. So I think that we did a great job.
Mhm. So you were well received, and the event organizers found you somehow. So you're definitely doing something right.
Yeah.
And it turns out that you are fundraising sometime very soon. So investors should be on the lookout for Agriwater. But
Yes.
if you do have the opportunity to give like one message to any investor that's tuning in right now, what would that be?
Yeah, that would be that Agriwater is a company that is resilient. It has a lot of energy. We have a lot of potential. We have defeated odds, and we've overcome people's doubts about whether or not we could produce and prove that we could extract water from manure, and we've been able to do it. So I'm inspired every single day, because all the way from a concept that I had as a PhD student to now we're manufacturing a system, and we have farmers asking us, hey, I want to pay for that system. I think we're onto something. And I think if you join our team, you'll be excited, and you'll see that we have something special.
Yeah. And not to mention, like, you are the second African American woman in over 100 years to earn a PhD in the
Yes.
agricultural engineering department at UIUC. UIUC, yeah.
UIUC.
So kudos to you. And
Thank you.
from academia to tech, not to mention as a founder, is definitely a big jump, and one that isn't too common that people would see. So in terms of that journey, how has that looked for you so far?
It's been a whirlwind, but I've been learning a lot along the way. I'm definitely a different businesswoman than I was when I first graduated with my PhD. Um, Learning more about commercialization, deep tech, and I think for me, like understanding picking accelerators and investors that are directly aligned with your investment thesis is very, very important. When someone understands your market and what you're doing, it like takes a lot of stress off of you because you don't have to try to educate and over teach what you're doing to someone. It makes a world of a difference. So I would definitely say, if you feel like you're not uh, breaking through, I would say maybe, being more intentional with what you're looking for and making sure that those opportunities actually align with your mission and you align with their mission as well to break through.
Most definitely. And overall, like I really love that you are challenging the status quo for how manure is being treated and managed. And to leave us off, I'd love to ask you, like, in 5 to 10 years' time, what does success look like for you and Agriwater?
In 5 to 10 years time, success for Agriwater, it looks like us having um, millions of dollars in sales and over 20 systems deployed across the United States of America. And also, I would say us being sufficient on our customer sales and not on selling our equity. I think that's what the success for Agriwater looks like.
Got you. Well, thank you so much for your time, Bianca, or Dr. Bianca Bailey. Really cool to learn about how exactly like poop is turned into profit. So appreciate you taking the time to discuss that with us and what you're doing with Agriwater.
Thank you, Sean. It's been a pleasure to spend some time with you today.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this interview, follow along on EarthABC's LinkedIn to stay connected and never miss what's going on in climate tech. If you'd like to reach out or you're interested in coming on as a guest, feel free to connect with me, Sean Pack, on LinkedIn. We're always looking for inspiring ventures and founders in the climate space to feature on the show. Hope you enjoyed. Until next time.